interested in joining me. I'm not going to use any props today, but we're going to just get a little bit moving, standing up to get started first. So just find a comfortable place to stand wherever you are. And just take a few sort of nice deep breaths, maybe a few little shoulder circles. Let's take our shoulders up to your ears and then down into your back pockets. Just feeling yourself getting moving. One more of those. And then let's leave your shoulders wherever they land. And let's work through your feet a little bit, just seeing how we're feeling grounded here. So if you're barefoot like me, let's just inhale and walk forward onto your toes. And then exhale, come back onto your heels and let those toes lift. Inhale, rock forward. Exhale, back onto those toes, letting those toes lift. One more of those. And bring that down. Let's add a little arm movement to this. Let's float those arms out to the side. And then exhale, bend down. Inhale, floating up. Exhale, bend down. One more of those, connecting your breath with your movement. And then lowering them down. Let's go for a little balance challenge here at this point. So let's find a tandem stance if you can. So bringing your heels of one foot right to the toes of your other foot. If that doesn't work for you, you can leave them a little further with a greater amount of space front and back, or you can bring that foot a little bit more so that they're straight out of your hips. But you're gonna get the greatest balance challenge thingy then here. You can go hands on your hips or we can move your arms. So we're just taking your arms out to the side. So let's float forward this time as we try to lift those heels. And then lower them. And as you come down, just scoop those hands behind you. Feel a little bit of an opening through your chest. Inhale, take that up. Exhale, take that down. Bring your hands behind you. Sweep that forward, lifting up. And then lower that down, taking your hands behind you. One more of those. Inhaling, float up. Exhaling, back down. And then let's switch your foot that is in front. And then let's go for the same thing. So let's float up. And then lower it down. Float up. And lower down on your other side. Lifting up. And lower down. Lifting. And lowering. One more of those. Inhaling to float up. Exhaling to lower that down. And then give those legs a little bit of a shake. And then let's come up to the top of your mat. Cross your hands in front of you. Cross those ankles over. And inhale. Almost all the way down to the ground. Exhale. Come back up tall. Inhale, take that almost all the way down. Exhale, grow back up tall. Challenging yourself to see where you can bend to, and then lifting back up. And then if you're up for the balance challenge, you can lower yourself all the way down, trying not to use those hands. That was out of your wheelhouse. Just comfortably and safely make your way down onto the mat. Let's bend those knees and leave them in front of you. Grab a hold behind your thighs, and let's start with a little seated cat-cow here. So holding on behind those, lift yourself up real tall. Exhale and roll back. Inhale, come on up, lifting yourself up nice and tall. Exhale, round through your back, rolling up, lifting tall. Exhaling to round through your back. One more of those, lifting up, and then exhaling to round through your back. Once you get back here, rounded through your back, let's try to lift one leg, and then lower it down, and then lift your other leg, and lower it down. Lift it up, and lower it down. Lift it up, and lower it down. Lift that leg up. And lower down, staying back in that seat. One more of those, lifting up, and then lowering down. Leaving your hands lifted in front of you, and then let's see if you can go back an inch, and then back up an inch, and then down an inch, and then up an inch, down an inch, up an inch. One more of those, back an inch, up an inch, down an inch, up an inch, and then as slowly as you can, let's melt all the way down to your mat. Just let those hands come down to your side. Make sure you land it on your mat here. Leg down, feet flat on the floor. And then let's start from your tail. Slide your tail away, feel your low back drop into the mat, and then release that out. And then slide your tail away, feel your low back drop into the mat, and then release that out. Slide your tail away, feel that low back drop into the mat. One last one of those, just with a little round and release through your pelvis. And then at whatever position it feels comfortable to let your back rest, let's just stop right there. And then let's float your arms straight up from your shoulders if they can get there. If they can't get there, pick an angle that is comfortable for you, whether they need to be closer down to your knees or all the way up. And then from here, let's reach those fingertips up to the sky. And then exhale, sink those shoulder blades down into your mat. Inhale, reach that up. Exhale, sink those shoulder blades into your mat. Inhale those arms up. Exhale, take those shoulder blades down. One more of those. Reach those arms up, feeling those shoulder blades separate from your side. And then exhale them down. Kind of leaving those shoulder blades anchored to your mat. Here, let's move a little bit through your lower body. So let's slide your right leg out long. And then exhale, pull that leg back to you. And then slide your left leg out long. And then exhale, pull it back to you. Slide your right leg out long. Exhale, pull it back to you. Slide your left leg out long. Exhale, pull it back to you. And then as your right leg goes out long, let's also try to slide that right arm back towards your ear. And then exhale, bring that back to you. And then take that left leg out long and left arm back to you. Just taking that range of motion at wherever your body will go. Right arm, right leg. And then bring that back. Left arm, right, left arm, left leg, and that, apparently I got confused. Right arm, right leg, and that. Left arm, left leg, and that. Let's bring that here, leaving those palms facing one another. Let's take your arms into a nice sort of ballet first position if you ever did ballet, so that your elbows have a soft bend and your hands are almost touching. And then let's inhale them open into a little second position. And then let's exhale, bring that close. And as you bring them open into second position, you're thinking like getting your tricep down onto the mat if you can. And then exhale, bring that close. Inhale, take that open. Honoring that stretch through your chest. So only taking that as far as you can control it. Opening and bringing that closed. Inhaling that open, exhaling that closed. Inhaling open, exhaling that closed. One more of those. And when you bring your hands closed this time, let's let your arms cross over one another. Bring them back up to your normal first position. Let them come open and then cross over with the other arm coming closer. You're finding that little bit of a hug with the shoulder separation. Bring them back to that first position. Let them open. Bring the other arm closer to your face as you hug in this time. Opening to that first position. Let those arms go open. Exhale, bring them back close. And then let's take them straight up to the sky here. And then let's let those arms drop open into a goalpost. If your arms can go there, and then reach them straight back up, and then take them open to a goalpost, and then straight back up. If that's feeling like something that you can handle, let's take those legs up into a tabletop position. You can always decide if that's too much and put those legs Back down on the mat as you open those arms into a goalpost position, and then take them back up. Now you can leave them up here. Let's take them open and back closed, open and back closed. Moving this at whatever speed is working for you. So you don't need to move your arms at the same speed that I am. One more of those. And then leave those arms down here. And then let's rotate your arms a little bit towards your toes as you sort of lower towards your ears as you lower your toes a little bit towards the mat. And then bring them back and your hands rotate the other way. So letting your forearms go as far as they can, close to the ground, and then back through close to the ground. And if that's working for you, you can do sort of that little toe dunk into a cold pool. If moving through your lower body is more than you feel like you want to coordinate or more than you feel like you're able to do, feel free to leave that step out. One more of those. And bring that back. Give your knees a squeeze into you. And just kind of stir them around in one direction. And then take them the other way. Let's give your upper body a little bit of a break for a minute. Let's come those feet down onto the mat, but leave them in pretty close to you to go to some bridges. So let those shoulders feel nice, chest feel nice and open on your mat. Shoulder blades engaged with the mat there. And then let's start from your tail. Slide your tail away. Roll your hips up into the air, squeezing through your glutes, and then roll down through your upper back, your middle back, your lower back, and then onto your tail. And then slide your tail away. Roll your hips up into the air, squeezing through those glutes. And then start from your upper back and roll down through your upper back, your middle back, your lower back, and then down to your tail. And then slide that tail away, roll all the way up, squeezing through those glutes, and then roll back and down. And then let's leave those feet here. Let's float those arms back up into that first position. And then instead of taking them wide, let's go first position, up, over your head, bringing those arms up, and then bring those hands back down. Inhaling those arms up over your head, and then back down. Inhaling them over your head, going from first position if you were a ballerina to fifth position, and then exhaling them down. And as you do this, check in with your last rib and see what happens. As you float your arms over your head, do you feel your ribs opening to the ceiling, and does that feel good? Or do you want to keep those ribs sort of closed and engaged in your abdominals? There's not necessarily a right or a wrong answer. They're just different, and they feel different, and you're getting different amounts of movement, whether you are letting that rib cage open or not. Inhaling those arms up, and then exhaling them down. One more of those. Inhaling those arms up, and then exhaling them down. Let's bring those hands back here. Let them come straight up to the ceiling. And let's make some tiny little circles here. Just moving the heads of your arms around into your shoulder joint. Just finding some movement and articulation in there. And then let's take those arms the other way. And then bring that back here parallel. And then let's inhale those arms over your head, taking them wherever they'll go. Exhale, circle them around, down, and come up. And then as you do that, decide if it feels nice at this point to open those ribs to the sky. If that is an option to you to circle around and down, it's not necessarily something you need to do. You don't necessarily also need to get your hands onto the mat. Your circles could be considerably smaller. They could just go back to here, circle around, and come up. Let's make our circles go the other way. So let's take them down, circle them around to the side, and then come up, go down, circle around to the side, and up, go down, circle around to the side, and up. I think one last circle so we're even, and then come up. All right, pull one leg back into you, grab a hold of it. You can leave your head and neck here. If pulling it all the way in like this feels like too much, you can also grab a hold behind your thigh. Reach your other leg out long. It's going to go somewhere between a 45-degree angle just straight up to the sky, wherever that will take you. And we're going to start here. So you can switch that leg and then switch, lengthening long, feeling those transverse abdominals turn on. And then from here, if you feel like you've got a little bit more in you, you can curl your head and neck up, reaching that opposite leg out across the room, lengthening. One more of those on either side. And then hug both knees into you. Let's all let our head and neck rest down to start this. So we're going to go to our double leg stretch. So taking a range of motion that's anywhere from straight up to the sky, just circle around and pull that in to considerably lower with those legs. Picking an option that works for you and making sure that your arm circles are somewhere that you can tolerate. If you feel like you've got a little more, we're going to curl up for 3 and circle around and in, and then out and around and in, out and around and in. One more of those. Lengthen and around and in. Let that rest down. Roll to one side with that head and neck. Roll to your other side. And then bring that back. Let's roll onto a side. So if laying on a side is not like how I am not available to you, you can put a very large pillow underneath your head or even just prop your head up. This is a big open shoulder. I'm going to keep my head lifted a little bit. So whatever sort of range of motion works for you, this is a big shoulder then. So if you've got a pillow, you're going to have this arm right about here, kind of out of the way. So let's bring your feet into a clamshell so we can work those glutes a little bit. So your hips are lined up with your feet, stack them one on top of the other, and make sure that this top hip isn't rocking back as you open or isn't coming forward, that it's straight in line with your shoulders. So if you have a wall behind you, you could line up your head, your shoulders, and your hips and your heels all on the same wall. And then let's take this top hand over just for some balance, and let's open that top knee, and then bring that closed. Open that top knee, and bring that closed. Open, and that closed. Open, and that closed. Open, and closed. Lift, and closed. One more of those, and then take that down. Let's float your feet up into the air, and then let your knee come open, and that closed. Open, and that closed. Open, and that closed. One more of those. And then let that come down. Let your bottom leg come to the ground. Imagine that there is a wall behind your heel and you're going to slide that leg out and then bring those knees into one another. And as you straighten that leg out and bring that back in, think about pointing your toes to the ground. Gives you that nice little energy up the back of your leg. Slide that out. Bring that back in. Take that out and back in. One more of those. Lengthen and come in. Let that top leg come over for a little bit of a stretch. Before we go on to our other side, let's come up to seated and let your feet go kind of out in front of you and then reach your hands up. I'm going to go a little side stretch forward. So find yourself sitting real tall on top of your hips and then tuck your chin to your chest and roll yourself out, thinking about reaching the crown of your head across the room and then roll back up, stacking your spine nice and tall. Tuck your chin to your chest, roll yourself out, reaching, and then roll back up, lifting tall. And tuck your chin to your chest, roll yourself out, reaching the crown of your head across the room, and then roll back up nice and tall. One last one of those. Out you go, and then roll back up nice and tall. Pull your feet and your knees together, and let's go to a little spine twist. So you're going to take one arm around behind you, and then exhale, bring that back to center. Take your opposite arm around behind you, and then bring that back to center, and then around, and back to center. Around, back to center. One more of those, twisting, and bring that back. Let's roll onto your other side for a little sideline leg series. So picking whatever option worked for you on the other side, or if you've got a little bit more going on this side, then taking a slightly different option so that you can take care of your body. We're going to return to those clamshells, making sure that however your upper body it's working. Head, neck, and shoulders are lined up. Feet are directly past your hips. And we're going to open that top knee and then bring it back closed. Lift and lower. 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 One more of those. And then take that down. Float your feet up into the air. And then lift your top knee and lower it. Lift it and lower it. Leaving those feet lifted so that you can really feel that on the outsides of your glutes. One more of those. And then take that down, leave your bottom leg resting, take your top hand up, and then you're gonna reach that leg out, and then bring that back, and then reach that leg out, and bring that knee back, lengthen, and back, lengthen, and back, reach, and back. Making sure that the toes of that foot that you're reaching are pointed to the ground. Reaching and back. Two more of those, slide out, lengthening and back. Last one, lengthening and back. And then let that top leg come over for a little stretch. And then let's come up. Find yourself up onto all fours here for a second. As long as you're okay weight bearing through your arms. If that's not okay, just skip this little quick series I'm going to do here. But I want to start with a little cat-cow stretch. So you're going to round up through your back and then lower down, looking out in front of you. And then tuck your chin to your chest, round up, and then lower down, looking out in front of you. One more of those, rounding up, and then lowering down, looking out in front of you. And then let's come back to a flat back. And while we're here, find some energy in your upper body. So you're going to push the ground away from you so you feel your arms working there. And then let's let your abdominals relax in the most unflattering way possible. Take a nice big inhale. Exhale, draw your navel to your spine so you can feel that engagement as your transverse abdominals wrap around your spine. And then keeping that engagement, let's take another inhale. And then exhale. Try to pull those abdominals up and in even more. And then from here, let's try lifting your right arm out in front of you. And then bring that down. And then try lifting your left arm out in front of you. And take that down. And then right arm out in front of you. And bring that down. Left arm out in front of you. And bring that down. One more of those to each side. Right arm out and down. Left arm out and down. And then let's add on to this if you feel like it. So let's test the water, trying not to shift right and left here. And let's take your right leg out behind you. And then bring that back underneath you. And then your left leg out behind you. And then back underneath you. And then let's go right leg out. And if that's working, hold that there. And then try to float your left arm up in front of you, holding it. And then let's lower that down. And then let's take your right arm and your left leg out, holding it here. And then lower that down. And now let's go left arm, right leg, and lower down. And then let's add a little balance challenge to this. So right arm, left leg, push the ground up, hold it here. And then try to lower them down to almost tap the ground. And then lift back up. Lower that down to almost tap the ground. And back up. One more of those, almost down. And up. And then bring that arm and leg underneath you. Take that right leg out behind you. Left arm in front of you. Push the ground away. And then we're going to lower that down. And then lift back up. Lower down. Lift back up. Lower down. Lift up, one more of those, lower down, and lift up, and then put that down. Grab a little round, and release. And then let's swing your feet around in front of you. Find yourself sitting up nice and tall. Reach your hands out in front of you, and let's just do a little bit of some roll back action. So you're gonna roll back till you feel those abdominals turn on. And then exhale, lift yourself back up. Inhale, rock back to a challenge point. And then exhale, lift back up. Inhale, rock that. Exhale, lift back up. One more of those. Inhale, rock that. Exhale, back up. And then this time, carefully take yourself all the way down onto your mat. I kind of missed my mat a little bit after all of that moving around that we did down there. So let's take your right leg and cross it over your left knee. If you have a TheraBand or a stretching strap, that you can use to make your arms longer, feel free to grab that. We're gonna reach on through and pull this left thigh back to you, and it'll give you just a little bit of assistance, make your arms a little bit longer so that you can grab that stretch. So you've got your right leg crossed over and you're pulling your left leg back to you for a nice little figure 4 stretch here. Checking in with your low back, making sure that it's engaged in the mat. I always feel like this is a nice place to take some little ankle circles, just working through that joint. And then go the other way with those circles if you chose to join me. And then take that left leg up into the air. And if you're holding onto your leg with any sort of strap, you can just kind of loosen up on that, and then you can use it for some help. So you can inhale that leg down to the ground, exhale, pull that back up to you. Inhale this whole letter V shape down. Exhale, pull that back up. Inhale down. Exhale back up. 2 more, inhale down. Exhale back up. 1 more, inhale down. Exhale back up. Bend that knee and let your leg rest down on the ground. Take your right arm and just reach it out across the room. If your left hand will go behind your head, bring it there. If it needs to rest across your body, that's perfectly fine. Just mind your head and neck as you go to do this, that you're using really good form. So take a nice big inhale. Exhale, curl up, thinking about pulling that left shoulder towards that right knee. And if your head is unsupported, just make sure that that is something that your neck can tolerate. If you can support your head a little bit with your hand, that will make this a little easier on your body. Either option will work. One more of those. And then bring that back. Let both arms go out wide. Drop your knees over one another. And then let your knees fall over to the left and look out to the right for a nice little back stretch here. If that's not feeling good to have your knees crisscrossed like that, you can stack them one on top of the other here, taking whatever option feels best for you. And then come up, uncross that leg, cross that left leg over your right leg. Pick whatever option works for you on the other side to pull that leg back to you for a stretch. And if you want a different option, that is also fine for the side. You don't have to do exactly the same thing on both sides. We're all just a little bit different side to side. You want those ankle circles here while we're stretching. Grab those. And then whatever direction you were circling in, change that. And decide if you want to use your band or you want to let go with your hands. So we reach that leg up into the air and then inhale that down. Exhale back up. Inhale down. Exhale back up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhale down. Exhale up. Inhaling down. Exhaling up. One more of those, taking whatever action's working for you. And then coming up, bending that knee. Let your left arm go out across the room. Bring your right hand behind your head. Push into that left arm and curl over. Remembering your options, that your hand can be across your body if bringing that hand behind your head doesn't work for you. One more of those. And then take that down, let your arms go out wide, cross your knees over one another, drop your knees over to the right, and then look out to the left for a nice little back stretch. And then bring that back up, uncross your legs, and then hug your knees into you, give them a little squeeze. And then let's take them straight out of your hips and then slide your hands up to about a 45-degree angle there on the floor. And then we're just going to move through our transverse abdominals a little bit. So we're going to inhale, take our knees over to the right, letting that left hip come off the mat. And then exhale, pull that back to center. Inhale over to the left. Exhale, pull that back to center. Inhale over to the right. Exhale back to center. Inhale over to the left. Exhale back to center. Inhale over to the right. Exhale back to center. One more of those. Inhale over to the left. Exhale back to center. Hug your knees into you. Give them a little squeeze. And then let's roll yourself up to seated. I want to do one last thing in a seated position here. So I want to do some modified teasers. So you're here with your arms reaching. I'm going to roll back until we get stuck. And then exhale, pull that back up. Inhaling that back. Exhaling back up. One more of those here. Thinking about turning those transverse abdominals on. Exhale back up. And then one elbow to one side, bring your elbow back towards your mat, and then lift that back up. Opposite side back. And back up. Bend. And up. Bend. And reach. Bend. And reach. One more of those. Bend. And reach. And then the other side. Bend. And reach. And then let's come up to seated. And then let's find a comfortable seated position, whether if it's butterfly or crisscross. I want to revisit some of the arms that we did laying down there, but let's just start with this. So let's just start inchworming one arm out as far as you can away from you. But as you do that, think about keeping your left hip down on the mat to see how far you can take that and not letting that left shoulder roll in, and then walk that back up. We're going to add on to this then. Take that. So think about grounding through your right hip or the opposite hip of wherever you're walking away from. Keeping your gaze pointed forward, not letting that lift. See if you can go any further. And then walk back in, growing tall. Now walk that opposite arm, or also known as right arm away, but this time look over your left shoulder and see if you can walk any further or any lesser distance looking up at the ceiling, minding your neck as you do that, and then walk that back in, finding yourself tall. Take that left arm, leave that right hip anchored, start turning over your shoulder, reaching that out, not letting that hip lift, and then bring that back in, nice and tall. So grab a hold of your shins, find your best posture here. Let's take your arms straight out in front of you so that they're straight there, and then do a little protracting and retracting on your shoulder blades. So you're reaching those hands forward as if you were trying to reach out and touch my fingertips, and then exhale, pull them back to you. And see if this feels different than what we did at the very beginning of class when you were doing this laying down on the mat. Do you have more range of motion? Do you have less range of motion? Is this more difficult? Is it considerably easier? And then take that down. Let's go soften in your elbows here. So now you're really in first position. So then let's go first position to second position, opening, and then bring that back. And then just see what happens. Does it feel good to let your ribs open, shoulder blades pinch together? Does that feel like too much chest expansion? What does your body need? Making sure that you're keeping a little lift through your elbows. So you are working through gravity here. So you should feel like your arms are doing some work. And then the more you sort of reach and push through your pinky, the more you're going to feel energy through your arms, which is kind of shocking and surprising. So really reach into that pinky. One more of those as you open and bring that back close. Leave that here. We're going to float those arms up and then take them back down, and then float those arms up and take them back down. One more of those, float those arms up and take them down. And now let's see what happens if you do that independently, just floating one arm up and back down, and one arm up and back down. Let's do one more independent arm movement there, and then bring that down, and then your other arm, and that down. And then compare that to both arms. See what happens to your ribs and your shoulders, and that down. Let's grab a hold of those knees, give those arms like, you know, the unfortunate shape where everything sort of jiggles. You wouldn't want. Hold on to your knees, round up through your spine, and then exhale, round back, and then lift up, big chest opening stretch, and then round back. And then bring that up, and as you lift up this time, maybe think about opening your chest to the ceiling and looking up a little bit. And then exhale, take this even more extremes, and as you come back this time, really try to even look at your belly button. And then round up, looking at the sky. And then exhale that back down. And then let's bring yourself up nice and tall. Find your best posture. Reach those feet out in front of you. Bring your hands back behind your head. Lift out of your hips and tilt forward for a little bit of a forward fold. And then bring that up nice and tall. Bring your feet back into, if they can go, either crisscross applesauce or right on top of one another, and then walk your hands out in front of you, coming out just into a little stretch here with your legs, either in triangle position or crisscross applesauce. One last stretch here we're going to do. And then walk that back in. Uncross your leg that's on top. Find yourself sitting nice and tall. And then walk your hands down in front of you. And then walk back up nice and tall. Take your feet around behind you and drop down for a little calf stretch here, sinking your heels. And then reach your hips up into the air, grab your head, yes, shake it, no. And then soft bend in your knees, roll yourself up to standing. Let's step your feet a little bit apart, and then let's find our balance here, and then just grab a little rotation through your torso, twisting to one side, and then to the other, rotating through your spine. One more of those. And then bring yourself down, one big inhale. And then exhale that back out. And I hope everybody has